Here we see the event flow display for a fairly simple data set involving both point and interval events. On the left-hand side, we have the legend as well as the control panel. In the middle, we have the aggregated record display. And on the right-hand side, we have a listing of all the individual records. Now, if I'm interested in how these individual records appear in the aggregation, I can click on any element of the aggregation, say this stroke event, and on the right-hand side, all of the individual records that comprise that element of the aggregation get highlighted. Note that all of these records begin with an interval of drug A and are followed immediately by a stroke. I can then move farther down this sequence in the aggregated display and click on the interval of drug B. Now, on the right-hand side, only 3 records are highlighted, and all 3 of these records begin with an interval of drug A, followed by a stroke, followed by an interval of drug B. Now that we're familiar with the aggregated record display, we can begin to notice features of the event sequences. For example, in this bottom sequence, we see that an interval of drug A overlaps an interval of drug B. This is drawn using the composite color of purple in the overlapping region. Similarly, in this sequence, we see that an interval of drug A overlaps a second interval of drug A. In this case, the overlapping region is drawn in a darker shade of red. However, it might be the case that we would like to simply ignore this overlap and consider this sequence to be simply a continuous interval of drug A. We can do this by merging these 2 drug A events together using the Merge tab of the control panel. Here we specify drug A as the event type, and that we would like to remove overlaps of less than 3 days. We click Remove, and now this sequence appears as a continuous interval of drug A. This action can be easily undone, restoring the record to its original state. EventFlow provides 2 modules for performing basic queries on the dataset. These can be found in the Filter tab of the control panel. The first of these modules is the Subsequence Query module. Here, I can specify a sequence based on simple before and after relationships. So for example, I can say I want to select all records in which a diagnosis occurs before an interval of drug B. I click Filter, and records with this sequence are selected. I can then reselect all the records and move on to the Overlap Query module. Here, I can specify events that must occur concurrently. So for example, I might be interested in records where a stroke occurs during an interval of drug A. I click Filter, and now records with this interaction are highlighted.